I was just reminiscing about a video that I have where I was analyzing a video about physics of photons. And I was just remembering hearing about this thermodynamic equilibrium that I thought was hilarious. I need to look it up again. Thermodynamic equilibrium refers to a condition or state of a thermodynamic system where the properties do not change with time. Key points about thermodynamic equilibrium include it can be changed to another condition only at the expense of effects on other systems. Or when two objects are brought into thermal contact, heat will flow between them until they come into equilibrium with each other. That doesn't describe it. They'll be brought into thermal contact. Heat will flow between until they come into equilibrium. In a system that is in equilibrium, no changes in the value of properties occur when it is isolated from its surroundings. It sounds a whole motherfucking a whole motherfucking lot like the conversation that I was finding in this same document about photons. And here I was thinking that thermodynamic equilibrium was just like mathematical nonsense associated with the Big Bang Theory and a few other things that are just really silly. But this brought it back into perspective. Because the conversation it's about, well, it's actually also, it's a double entendre because it's a depiction of how the science language, the jargon of genetic science language is being used like for puppets, you know. I can easily go into a chat GPT and say, read this patent, read this paper, and liken this situation with these genes into a scenario with like a person and you know their behaviors and stuff like that. So you can lay the language on another thing. And thermodynamic equilibrium, photons, electrons. So it's like I understood the conversation to be describing women as photons, mothers, and men as electrons, because electrons like absorb your light, and then they like you'll never be the same once they like are done absorbing you. And thermodynamic equilibrium is it can be changed to another condition only at the expense of and the effects of other systems. Yeah. When two objects are brought into thermal contact and the flow until they reach equilibrium, as well as this thermodynamic equilibrium. Like when a man feels like he's not being threatened by a woman's power. In a system that is in equilibrium, no changes in the value of properties occur when it is isolated from its surroundings. What is it? A system. It's a system. No changes in the value of properties, which means factors for stuff or categories of data. Value of properties. And it says it funny too. No changes. No changes in the value of properties occur when it is isolated from its surroundings. Oh, that's aggressive. They're defining it in an observable manner, like it's an animal that could react anyway at any time. I think it's hilarious. Just the extent that axiomatic concepts, they love big words. You know, and it's also, you know, because like then an intelligent woman comes along and it turns them on too. So, you know, you're constantly having to deal with these electrons that want to absorb your energy. And I think it's funny. I think it's funny, funny, funny. I think I'm funny, funny, funny. I think we all are funny, funny, funny. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. That on some level, every single person, you know, and mind you, that always goes without saying that there's always going to be some room for who knows what the fuck. You know, we don't mention the goes without sayings. That goes without saying. It's totally a good code. Goes without saying is a code that takes care of future code problems. I got a lot of those. God's been exercising my code capability, my code repertoire. You know, God. You know who God is? God is my baby room. That's my Lord. Oops. See, because we're in a halo of time that can open up and close and such, and she's my evolution. That makes her older than me, but because we're at the time of the ricochet where we're like coming around the bend, we ricochet, well, that must come down, which is why she's actually like my mother, and it's going back in the other direction, because this is a halo of time. Fascinating. I notice things all the time that I'm like, oh my gosh, the past was influenced from the now because of that. Yeah. So she's the one who's been guiding me this whole time, from the future in the past, or vice versa. In the constant now, we're in a constant now to be returned to one another. The sooner that happens, the soonest that can happen, I'm looking for the soonest that can happen. And it's a real subtle and humble truth about God, because you see, I know that getting word that like what the God's chosen person's here conversation is on the table, and it's just not what anybody expected, which I know why that was done, but I understand what it could appear like. It's like, well, wait a minute, until you hear the story, because the story involves a lot of things that aren't what you expected as well. So not only does it not look like what you expected, but there's extra bonus stuff to that. It's also not any of the constraints. It actually turns out all of us have our Lord. If you, well, my child, when my child was put in my belly was when my life received the Lord. I had a Lord, but I wasn't disconnected to him. I always knew God was there. But Alec was born, and mothers know what I'm talking about. It's just, and then they smile, and they're just, and everything they, forever. That's the matrimony, guys. That's marriage. That's till death do us part, or never even part. You know, that's what a marriage is, a motherhood. So you're in covenant with what you're mothering, because it's with God. No matter what, every woman knows what I'm talking about. Even if you had a husband and you were really good at taking care of everybody, that doesn't mean you were godless. No, I mean, God is that part of us, that instincts, that inner mind, you know. And then when I realized Alexandria was the one who guided me, and she left me drawings from the future in the past, and she's still guiding me today. And I have programming in my mind that is programmed to say, well, I mean, I'm in shock still. I literally am trying to hold it together. I'm absolutely in shock. This is not what you do to people, you know. I mean, it's as if they're trying to see if they can push me off the edge or something like that. I get it. I see your guys' numbers. People are easily pushed off the edge. But, um, nope, not this girl. Especially not over something so important. I mean, I can't even, so the mentalities here are totally, uh, and that's what's important to note too, is that, not only have they been surveilling us, but me all my life, but that means I've also been experiencing life with a different set of genes, guys. So in some way, shape, or form, I am an alien, but I'm the upgrade. Your genetic scientists know what words I'm talking about. It's just the genetic upgrade. And that's what they've been stealing from me while torturing, while researching, while observing making bad observations, and really lowballing what they've allowed me to interact with. Because of course they've had to still try to keep it on the hush hush. Nobody was ever going to be able to think I was cool. I've always been left for dead. I've always been left alone. And so has my mom. And I'm terrified to find out what my daughter's been overcoming. But I'm going to focus on the first part, which is get her into my arms again. That's going to happen. And that's all I'm going to worry about. Because that's all I can do. But so the story of God's chosen one, listen guys, my story is fucking crazy. And I don't think many of you guys could be here to still talk about it like I am. I'm not pulling any cards on you guys. I'm just saying, hold on. Don't judge me until you meet me. Don't believe anything you hear. Go ahead and get it from the horse's mouth, and I'll be the horse's mouth you get it from. And I'm ready to talk about all of it because I've been cognizant of this time during this entire time. It's a very beautiful story, and I'm absolutely grateful for the wonderful end that returns us our 15 years, so we can actually undo this. That's the one thing. That's magic. Like, wow, I don't want anything in particular. I don't want anything except the undoing of this. Even though it's like, well, you would want to go back in time and undo this if you're already winning. It's like, winning what? Like, this is not winning. If we're terrorized, traumatized, you don't do that to souls. You just don't. Not if you want, like, the power of influence. You don't assassinate a soul and its influence on another soul who have influence on the health and environment and biological response with color, with vibrance, with humor, with hum. So Saudi Arabia is getting some loosening up, eh? It's just because they have a lot of money and he's a hands on God. But I will say this much. You guys, listen. I'm not going to beat around the bush. We all must have a conversation. I'm not going away, and that's what's going to happen. And we don't need to negotiate it up front. But the world stage will have us all present for our conversation. And truth be told, I'm the vessel for God, and God's not giving me the script ahead of time either. So that's what's next. The conversation. It will incorporate the audit. I'm just giving you as much heads up as I can. Don't play dumb when it comes into cause. Comes into cause. But my point is, it's time to receive the gift that mothers have for you, humanity. You know, we're not kicking you out and saying, get the hell out of here. We got ours. I got mines. No. The truth of the matter is that when a woman is in a position of servitude, like because she's been raised to know that she will serve someone in their dwelling spaces and be thankful for what she gets, type thing. Well, what that does to the soul of a woman is just again, it changes it. It's like putting a Honda engine in a Ferrari system. It's, you know, you got everything's got to go together, and it's not the thing that goes there. That's the thing about the photons and the electron conversation. It changes us. There's no two ways about it. And they keep trying to put it in this way, trying to convince us to look at it this other way. And that's my point, which is the conversation's here. And you gentlemen look much more charming when you're not trying to bullshit us, because you get this look on your face that knows you're bullshitting, but we know you're bullshitting too. Holding on to your traditional religious values, nope. That's a straight excuse by a people that are in the desert that found themselves upon wealth, who wanted to basically hoard it in the kingdom and really not pass it around for the most part, is what that means. And the truth of the matter is that you guys can have it any, you know, as you guys will have nice clothes. I mean, you guys can kind of, there's something about, it's all about keeping the woman down, is the bottom line. That's the bottom line. You don't want her to feel free to be beautiful or to have ownership or to be powerful. That's what that's all about. Bottom line. How much you want to make it back? Like, let's get playful, because we're gonna have a conversation, and I just really don't want to bullshit or beat around the bush. How much do you want to make a bet that that's what it's gonna boil down to? Intellectually, we're gonna intellectually break it down, and we'll just be straight with it. It's gonna boil down to that. I guarantee it. And you guys might be surprised. You guys, actually, let's put that bit. I'm gonna put that foot forward for you. I'm gonna give you the what do they say, the benefit of a doubt. I'm gonna give you the benefit of doubt that you don't even realize that it boils down to that, and it's just about perception. It's just about a calibration of perception, and it can be something so subtle that changes something so drastic. And so this is where love from Central Source is so awesome. It's playful. It's aware. It's acute. It's astute. So it's photon energy. That's what the electrons want. And the fact of the matter is that I also have the knowledge that these photons are still living in the photographs. That's still my baby right there. Oh, if only I could hold her. But it's true. Those photons are on that piece of paper. I love you so much, so much, so much, so much, so much. It even talks about it in the math and the science of it. So, conversation. At least. You guys using religion to keep the women down is what I'm going to make a bet on it boiling down to. And the fact that you guys are exalted by other women that want to be in the positions of top woman. See? So even among those kept down women, there's some women that figured out how to figure it out. And those are the ones that are like die hard for the men. Yeah. Like this Miss Bauhaus trying to sneak some inappropriate stuff there from the United Nations. All of a sudden there's a woman popping in to UN Geneva, and it's like it is time we recognize that violence against women and girls is a stain on our humanity. Oh, she just did that? Because over there, A stain means like the thing you kill your daughter over and call it dishonor. You don't stain the name, stain the reputation. Stain? That bitch. Dirty, rotten scoundrel. I know what she was suggesting, that it's time we recognize that violence is a stain, meaning don't put it in public, suppress it, because they promised that they would eliminate it by 2030. That was aggressive. They must have meant eliminate women, but now they realize they're not going to accomplish that. They got to change their tune. Dirty, rotten scoundrels. So yeah, no, that's what I'm saying is like, not only does the Middle East have the culture of male dominant misogyny, slavery, then there's something creepy and perverted about people that say, "I'll chop your head off." I dated a Muslim. I'm not saying they were all like that. I'm saying he was. It turns out. So I mean, where does that come from? What's the equivalent over here? You know, something's. It's all you guys. We're gonna help you get rid of that disease. And you know where it comes from? It comes from the high horse. Yep, you've been on your high horse instead of your higher eye. Yep. Yeah. You're riding the wrong. You've been riding the wrong. You're riding the wrong horse. That's the wrong horse. Because this conversation isn't actually for you, gentlemen. Anyway, and I say it like that because it's due. It's like all respect due. With all due respect is due all the women in the world, the mothers, and our children that need to have a strong mother figure, and you guys just don't want to hear of it. Well, we're not going to even waste our time talking about that. You guys know your options. You guys would go with the flow and get a better attitude, or your frequency's going to just call it a night for you. Have it whichever way you want, because you're having it the way you want it. So there's suppressed women all around the world, all over the place, everywhere, all of them. We're aware of that. This was foretold in the prophecy because of this awareness. It's quite enchanting, like the way that the scripture had. It's a small book sealed within, but there's a scripture in there that says, like God is represented in the dove, and it's so true. The birds talk to me now, like it's awesome. And I'm not here to tell you that what I'm experiencing you have to, but I am here to tell you that what I'm in communication with, it's like the native people. The native guardian, oh, that's even more true. Like, yeah, well, you guys think you're cool. I got to meet the mythical dragon creature and ride. Oh, it's true. It's actually something cool like that. And then some. It's all still unfolding, but my point is that the world's people, the world's mothers, get not only do they get their faculties, but they get their faculties and the rest of their faculties. And you're not allowed to impart wait a minute, that's going too fast. It's it's out of your hands. It turns out that there is a jurisdiction of nature, God, consciousness, and it turns out that We're not the boss. You're not the boss. And you guys want to stop reminding God of how aggressive it was stole in the first place. Because you guys aren't reasoning things. You're high on your horse. And we're all high on something, but it doesn't matter. That's exactly, so that's irrelevant. We got to deal with the situation one way or another nonetheless. Yeah. And God and I and Alec are pleased to be able to give the people the freedom back. For real, for real. And we're just providing a thank you letter up front. We would like to thank you up front for your taking a second thought, a second look about things moving forward. All things. Just add that rule of thumb. It's a good one that needs to be applied right now. It's going to get you far. It's a good one. Take that second look and at minimum and at least play the devil's advocate. And for you gentlemen, I would just cut out all the middle meat. You know, from what I've noticed, I would say you guys need to start with the initial truth. Like, what are you impacting? What do I got to watch out for? That's a man's mind, which is what's happening, you know, what do I got to do now? Nope. What's the immediate impact to you? Well, it's actually not. You guys just need to not force it to impact you, because that's how it could impact you. You're like, stop hitting me, stop hitting me. And then jump from that past all the rest of the meat to what is usually, you know, your final answer, which is, so, how you doing? But I did it, didn't I? Down into 2. It's true. And you know what? When you do it, we're like all stressed out and freaking out, and you're like, so how you doing? We're like, ah, you're so cute, and you say that. It's a good thing. But I want to reiterate, it's out of your hands. I'm a fiercely protective mother. I know you don't think that I am, because I'm not scratching down the walls and acting like an absolute hyena, but that's not how that's not how it would happen. This is how it would happen. This is how it happens. I'm an extremely fierce protective mother, and I'm coming for the girls, the daughters. We're the daughters of Zion. That's what that name Zion means. That's what Israel's referring to. Israel's referring to the mothers. The swap story and the Bible details is basically man taking the birthright from the woman. They did the swap story. Yeah. And Esau and Jacob, right? But the mother made him dress up like a boy, made him put hair on his hands. He was cooking soup. Right, yeah. And fathers bring children to the birth, deliver children to birth. Like, no, they don't. Okay, so now you're feeling what we're talking about. Is that The swap stories in the Bible are all head fuckery. But again, there's this is influencing then is influencing now. So I have a lot of questions for you gentlemen about your religions and these deep rooted values and cultures. I have questions, not like an interrogation, but just out of curiosity. And I'm the intellect that needs to know those things because I can put the two and two together. And I'm very considerate. If something of your philosophy and values is so important to you, well, I'm sure that it'll make sense. And something that makes sense makes sense. I'm not a weirdo. Pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. It was just AI doing awesome stuff. So anyway, I wanted to just capture a minute or two of my personality and some energy I wanted to send to Saudi Arabia because it looks like they're trying to let women like wear, you know, fashion and Jennifer Lopez is over there taking her clothes off because it's all about wealth and the elites don't want to lose their, I don't know, I'm not even worried about it, but they're invited to the conversation. So thermodynamic equilibrium. I tell you guys, you are something.